Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today we are looking at the sixth grade concept of wholes, parts, and percents. This is 6.5b Readiness Practice, the advanced version. If you are interested in exploring the 6.5b Readiness Practice for the intermediate or proficient versions, or the Readiness Practice resource along with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description. All right, so we have a store that sold 12 shirts, which was 15% of their total inventory. And we're going to need to know their total inventory. So let's figure out what that means. So 12 shirts out of an unknown amount, that's their total. That's what we're looking for, equals 15%. Now we can turn this into a proportion if we rethink of 15%, because 15% means per 100. And so we can call this 15 hundredths. We could sit with it like this if we want to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. What we can do is we can simplify the 1500s. Let's divide by fives. And so we're going to end up with 3/20ths. All right, so now let's look at it this way. 12 over some unknown is 15% or 3/20ths. Now, visually we can think, well, if we just divide it by 4, we can get down to 3. That would work. So what divided by 4 gets down to 20, right? And that's going to get us to 80. Or if we don't have that necessarily in us, we can do some cross multiplication. But look, we're going to have to do 12 times 20, which is 240. Then we're going to have to divide that by 3. Either way, we're going to get 80. All right, so 12 out of 80 shirts were sold. That's 15%. Then they received a new shipment of 50 more shirts of that style. Okay. And after the new shipment arrived, how many total shirts of that style did the store have? So if they sold 12 out of 80, I need to figure out first how many remaining shirts they have. They had 80, they sold 12, so now they're going to have 68 shirts. Then they're going to get an extra 50 of that style. So now, here we go. Here's my new inventory, 118 shirts of that style. Next, we have a school with a fundraising goal of $500. They reached 85%. So let's figure out what that is. 85% of 500. Well, we can do two different things. We can think of this as a decimal. So we can do 500 times 0.85. That works. If we wanted to think of this as 85% is 85 hundredths, simplify it by fives, and that is going to be 17/20ths. And then we can multiply that by 500. And then we would get a really large number, have to divide it by 20. That could also work. I'll do the first one. But if you wanted to do fraction multiplication, that would also work. So 0, 0, 25. Now I've got two zeros, and then I've got a 40. So 425 decimal 0, 0, because I got two digits behind the decimal. So 425. All right. So they had $425, which is 85% of their goal. They then received an additional donation of 60. Okay. So I'm going to add $60 here. I'm going to put the decimal right there. And so that is going to be 485. So now they've got 485. The question is not how much money do they have. The question is what percentage of the original goal did they reach in total? Well, they now have 485. And they're trying to get to 500. So I need to turn that into 8%. Well, there's a few ways you can do that. You could divide up if you want to, but that would be a lot. You know what? If I get this into thousands, I can change it into the thousandths place. I'm just going to double everything here. 485 doubled. It's going to be 10, 17, 970. Okay, so that equals 0.970, Move the decimal over twice. Ah, look at that. 97%. So they reached 97% of their goal. Not bad. Then we have a bakery on our third problem. Made 150, 42 were chocolates, 51 were oatmeal. What percentage were not chocolate chip or oatmeal? Okay. So I'm going to take my 42 and my 51. Let's figure out how much those two make. 393. Okay, so this is my chocolate chip. This is my oatmeal. Now, I want to know how much is not. So let me figure out how much is not those two. I'm going to take my 150. That's my total, and I'm going to subtract my 93 to see what the remaining is. That's 757. Okay, so 57 out of 150. I don't know what that percentage is. Can't easily think of a way to get a 10, 100,000, so let's simplify, see if we get anything better. Let's divide by 3. All right, so 3 goes into 57 19 times. I use my divisibility rules. I knew 57 was divisible by 3 because 5 plus 7 makes 12, and 12 is divided by 3. That's the divisibility rule, and that's 50. Now, this works. Even though I just divided by 3, look what happens if I double this. 2, 2. I'm going to get 38 over 100. 38 hundredths, right, is 38 per 100, or 38%. If you are interested in exploring the 6.5B Readiness Practice Resource for the intermediate or proficient versions, or the Readiness Practice Resource along with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description.